is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Big Sam Presents
I make this for you. I make this for you.
Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Is Big Sam Presents
I make this for you. I make this for you.
Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Only ask 4 of them. What happened? Where did it happen? How did it happen? And when did it happen? But atheists like Ankh get scared to talk about who. But in crime scene reconstruction, they ask who questions. They ask why question. Ankh will have you believe there is no who and there is no purpose to life. There's just explanation to things that it can observe. Atheist scientists take out the who and the why when that should be part of it, right? Here is why it's a problem if you abandon who and why. Because in the crime, all right, in a crime, if you abandon who and why, then now you can't get motive. Because just because you have a crime doesn't mean you know the motive. In order to know the motive, you have to be able to talk to the person that committed the crime, right? You got to get the who to get the motive, right? If you don't get the who, then you might not even be able to establish there was a crime. Because if I don't know who committed this crime, then how do I know the person that committed the crime, or maybe not a crime, was actually a person who was kidnapped and grabbed the gun from this guy and shot him and ran out? If that's the case, that's self-defense. That's not a crime. So it's important when you're talking about science, when you're talking about the universe, right? When you're talking about justice, you got to know who. A judge or a prosecutor, they can't prosecute something if they don't got the who. When I'm telling Ankh, when it comes to science in the universe, because he is an atheist, and we're going to show this a little later, because he is an atheist, he dismisses what scientists, what criminal science investigators put into their equation into determining something that they were not there to humanly see with their eyes. And in that scientific method, there is a who and a why.
Time's up, brother. Unshare your screen. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Pastor Bennett, we see you. You going in. Brother Ankh, it's on you, my brother. And the time will start when you start. Matter of fact, while we waiting on Ankh, let's all give the pastor a hand, man. Let's give the pastor a hand. He doing
Well, I'm going.
work.
Let's go.
He doing the Lord's work. Let's give him a hand. Right now, we're gonna bring on Ankh, the God Killer.
Big Sam Presents Raw.
I make this for you.
Wow.
So,
Crazy.
all right.
Okay. Okay. Time will start when you
So
start.
let's get right to the scientific method. Once again, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Let's get right to the steps of the scientific method. All right. So as we deal with the scientific method. Step 1. All right. So you make an observation. Bear with me, my computer moving a little slow here. Man.
Start that
All
time,
right.
Sal.
Not yet, brother. You gotta. How you gonna start his time? He ain't start yet.
Keep
brother.
going.
He ain't start yet.
Hi, would you like to sponsor this show? You have the ability to sponsor Big Sam Presents Raw and or Shit Talk. I don't give a goddamn. You could pay me $100 a month or $50 a week or $250 every 2 weeks. Regardless, it don't even matter. If you want to sponsor this show, you can. Let me know. I'm Big Sam, and you got the opportunity to sponsor this show. This show got
Okay. That piques the curiosity. okay, and raises questions, right? For example, Charles Darwin in 1809, from 1809 to 1882, right? There's the Galapagos Islands located in the Pacific Ocean. All right, he observed several species of finches. These are birds, each equivocally adapted to a very specific habitat. In particular, the beaks of the finches were quite variable, right, and seemed to play important roles in how the birds obtained food. These birds captivated Darwin. He wanted to understand the forces that allowed so many different varieties of finches to coexist successfully in such a small geographical area. His observation caused him to wonder, and his wonderment led him to ask a question that could be tested. Step 2, ask the question. So scientists do ask questions. The purpose of the question is to narrow the focus of the inquiry to identify the problem in specific terms. The question Darwin might have asked after seeing so many different finches was something like this: what caused diversification of the finches on the Galapagos Island? So see right here, we do ask the what. What caused it, right? So you stuck right there, Rev. We do ask the what, okay? Goes on to say, here are some other scientific questions. What caused the root of a plant to grow downward and the stem to grow upward? What brand of mouthwash kills the most germs? That's the question. Another question. Which car body shape reduces the resistance most efficiently? What causes the coral bleaching? What type of building material absorbs the most sound? Coming up with a scientific question isn't difficult and doesn't require training as a scientist. If you're ever been curious about something, if you ever wanted to know what caused something to happen, then you probably already asked a question that could launch a scientific investigation. Step 2, formulate a hypothesis. All right? And I'm going to stop right there on formulating a hypothesis. Let me see how much time I got left. Let me go right here real quick.
You got 2 minutes.
Got 2 minutes. Okay. All right. Get back here. I ain't even going to click out and click back. Okay. The great thing about a question is that it yearns for an answer. Okay. And the next step in the scientific method is to suggest a possible answer in the form of an hypothesis. An hypothesis is often defined as an educated guess because it is almost always informed by what you already know about a topic. For example, if you wanted to study the air resistant problem stated above, you might already have the intuitive sense that a car shaped like a bird will reduce the air resistance more efficiently than a car shaped like a box. You could use that intuition to help formulate your hypothesis, right? So now, when we talk about an hypothesis, when scientists is using the word hypothesis, we're talking about a scientific hypothesis. I'm just trying to give you the basics to understand that scientists can still search and look for what a Christian, Muslim, Jew, or religious person would call God. We just haven't found any evidence of it. But that does not mean we do not ask the question of why, of how, the who, what, when, where, and why. Science absolutely does this. Deductive reasoning, absolutely. All right? So, I just wanted to start y'all off with that, right? One portion of the scientific method, right? Start off with the damn question. So he's absolutely wrong about that. Just wanted to get that straight, and we can move on and do what we got to do. I think we got how many minutes left? Got 16 seconds left. I'm cool with that. I just want to let y'all know, we're going to make sure we be on an A game tonight. Crystal clear and understanding. So, yeah, that point, you was wrong with that point, Rev. You asked that question, brother.
All right, Reverend. Sometimes, Rev, let me tell you something, my brother. When you see Unc only got like about 15 seconds left or maybe a minute, you should already go into your slides so you can have it ready. All right, brother?
Pull it up?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I mean.
I
You
got
should
you.
already be there. So that way we
Got
ain't
you.
got to keep waiting to pull it up and all that. You feel me?
It ain't gonna cut in on him, right?
Yeah, if it do, I know how to shrink it.
All right, got you. Tell me when to go.
You up and running, brother.
All right. So now I want to take y'all back and then we're going to move y'all forward. So y'all heard me say that according to the Association for Crime Scene Reconstruction, not according to Pastor Bennett, according to experts who do crime scene reconstruction, the reason they do crime scene reconstruction is because they were not there. And so in order to figure out how a crime took place, what took place, who did it, they do use science, forensics, DNA, all of these things. But they have a method. And as we just heard Ankh admit, which he's going to do many times in this debate, he admitted to deductive and inductive reasoning, right? Which asks questions, right? We deal with right? Here are the questions they ask. What happened? Where did it happen? How did it happen? When did it happen? Who was involved? Why did it happen? When y'all just heard Ankh go, the only thing Ankh did when he brought up Charles Darwin, and it's going to be important that y'all remember, he brought up the white man Charles Darwin. So when I bring him up, remember what he said, right? He was only bringing up the what. I said they asked the what question. But what I'm showing is that atheists like Ankh, he is an atheist, calls himself the real black atheist, the God killer. So he doesn't do science. He does atheist science. Because what he does is he asks the what, the where, the how, and the when, but he takes out the who and the why. Real scientists don't remove any possibilities or plausibilities, because in the question of hypothesis, in the deductive and inductive reasoning, it's not there for fact. You still got to do your lab work. You still got to do your physical evidence. So you don't remove any plausibilities or possibilities. And if you're removing two questions, who was involved, who might have had something to do with this, and why, purpose, motive, then if you're removing that, then you can't solve crime. You can't solve how the universe began or why the universe exists when you are removing two of the main questions that need to be there. You heard only ask what? I said don't deal with who or why, but crime scene reconstruction does. They were not there, but they asked those questions. Maybe next time he answer why he don't deal with the who and the why, because he act like nothing has purpose to it. How can things have explanation but no purpose? If it can have an explanation, it has a purpose to it. Unless you're an atheist. Now, why am I bringing this out? Because an atheist belief is one that believes in no God or deity. He the God killer. He don't believe in God, right? And so he's talking about belief, but he don't understand atheism is a belief. It's just a belief that don't believe in God. Science can't prove that God doesn't exist. The same way he tells me science doesn't prove that he can. So he's just a believer. So for him to suggest that science and belief don't go together, he can't be an atheist. He would have to be more like an agnostic that says, I don't know. But he's an atheist. So he has belief. He just believes other than believers, right? Thus, an atheist would not, right? If the premise of a hypothesis, going back here, y'all, is to first have deductive, tell me my time, sir, because I can't see it. Deductive and inductive reasoning, right? Well, if you are an atheist, then you would not deduce, right? You would not deduce or induce the plausibility of God or a higher power in its beginning hypothesis or reasoning. So if Ankh is doing study on the universe, or if a scientist is doing study on the universe, and they are atheists, they carry that belief system into when they're determining who put the matter there. If matter started, time, space, and energy, who put the matter there? He's not going to ask the who question, right? Because he doesn't believe in a deity. He doesn't believe in a supernatural force, right? Thus, he won't allow for a supernatural explanation. So what Ankh does is when he can't explain something, he just says it's a natural explanation to it that just hasn't been discovered yet. Secondly, people like Ankh, atheist scientists, will have you believe that belief ain't in science, that religion ain't a part of science, that faith ain't a part of science. That's false now. Y'all trying to give information. He needs to show some real information. In 2009, a Pew Research survey, here is the link to it. A Pew Research survey of 100 scientists found 51% believe in a personal God or a higher power. In 1914, Swiss-American psychologist James Lebeau, who surveyed about 1,000 scientists in the United States to ask them about their views on God. This is in the same article. So if you want to, this is not me making this up. This is in the same Pew Research article. He surveyed 1,000 scientists in the United States to ask them about their views on God. 42% of them said they believe in a personal God, and the same number said they didn't, right? 80 years later, Edward Lawson did a recreation of this same survey and came away with the same thing. So what are you saying? Science is much like the world. There are believers and non-believers. And so my time is winding up, so I'm going to hit this next part next. But first I want Aunt to deal with why does he believe in deductive and inductive reasoning, questioning based on observation, but he takes away the who and he takes away the why. And why is he lying to the people when the research and information suggests that in the science community, there are believers and non-believers. So there are believers that do good science and there are non-believers that do good science. Their belief doesn't stop their good science. Let's go.
Like the video. Thumb up the video. All right, Brother Ankh, it's on you, my brother. Second round. Let's go. Time will start when you start.
Yeah, my screen work.
Say what?
I'm froze. Am I froze?
Yes.
Yeah, you froze a little bit, yep.
Hold on.
Jump out,
I'm
jump
moving down
in.
the bottom
You
again.
gotta
This
do
is
that.
crazy,
Jump out,
man.
jump in.
Huh?
Go out, come back in quick. That's all.
Go out and come back. I'm moving now, right?
Yes, you moving now.
You can see me clear?
Nope. Because it looked like you got a cloud around your whole joint.
Yeah, it's just fuzzy.
That's the Jesus Christ ghost coming in. That's the ghost spell, the gospel coming in on. Spell, I'm
shutting you down.
Hold on.
Oh, man.
I'm waiting on you, Unc. You froze up again.
He said he's going out and coming back in, Si.
Okay.
Can you see me, Si?
I see you clear.
All right, cool.
Unc always have a problem with his stuff. All the time.
Yeah, tonight he definitely having a problem.
His stuff is always like this, man.
Yeah, somebody done called in and told him to pull the plug. Somebody done told him to pull the plug. I'm ready. Let's go. Y'all done messed around, told me to get slides and bring links and bring information and bring sources. Let's go.
I got to teach you how to get slides, too. You got to go full screen.
Hey, we good?
Yes, you good now, Unc. You good.
So first of all, I'm not necessarily concerned with people's personal beliefs, and I've never got on the panel and said that a scientist had to believe or not believe in God, and no one makes that argument because your belief is actually personal. So, I mean, that doesn't affect me. So as a scientist, you're not required to believe or not believe in God. That actually has nothing to do with science and the personal endeavor. God is a personal endeavor created by human beings, no matter what you say. And there's no way to test God, right? It's supernatural. So science is not even designed to test or to make an hypothesis on something that can't be falsified. Look up the word falsified, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be falsifiable to be considered in the realm of science. You can't falsify God because it's supernatural. Science was not designed to deal with the supernatural. Religion was designed and belief was designed to deal with the supernatural. When I say supernatural, go to your etymology online dictionary and type in supernatural, right, and read what supernatural is. Okay, so there's natural and there's supernatural. So when I speak in terms of supernatural, I'm talking about outside of nature. Everything we do on planet Earth is natural. Human beings connected to everything, the ecosystem, the different niches in the ecosystem, right? It's all based off of being interconnected. The cosmos, all these things are natural, right? So science is designed to talk about the natural and understand the natural world, right? Not the supernatural world. We'll leave that to the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews, and all of that, right? So I don't know. So you can believe in the supernatural and still do experimentation on the natural forces. No one said that. But we need to be very, very clear here in understanding what we're saying. We're saying that God can't be falsified. There's no way to test God, no matter what he says. There's no way to say if God is actually moving the forces of nature around. There's no way to know that. That's left to thousands of human beings and their different belief systems. So let's not get too arrogant with the Christianity. Christianity is really on the last stage of ignorance, to be honest with you. If Christianity was actually of God, it would have been the first damn religion. Like, why would God wait 300,000 years to pop up as Jesus Christ? Right, because it's a belief system. And as a matter of fact, with my 2 minutes and 42 seconds left, let me tell you why I don't believe in God, right? Matter of fact, all black people that's been through the transcontinental slave trade need to question everything that was given to us. That would be science. All these things need to be questioned. That's why we have scientists doing scientific experiments, because we're questioning it, right? And any religion that we got, you know what I'm saying, as we went through the portal of the transcontinental slave trade, need to be questioned. So let's get right to this. Let's get to the doctrine of discovery. Type in the doctrine of discovery 1493. Okay, you can actually go to the Gilder Lehrman. That's Gilder, separate word, Lehrman, Lehrman, Institute of American History. Right now, the doctrine of discovery, the Papist Bull Interior Criteria issued by the Pope. This is a Christian guy. Pope Alexander VI on May the 4th, 1493, played a central role in the Spanish conquest of the New World. The doctrine supported Spain's strategy to ensure its inclusive right to the lands discovered by Columbus the previous year. It established a demarcation line. We're going to get into that later, y'all. 100 leagues west of the Azores and the Cape Verde Islands as assigned Spain exclusive right to acquire territorial possession and to trade in all lands west of that line. All others were forbidden to approach the lands west of that line without special licenses from the rulers of Spain. This effectively gave Spain monopoly on the lands in the New World. The bull stated that any land not inhabited, I'm going to say this again, the bull stated that any land not inhabited by Christians, right, were available to be discovered. That don't even make no damn sense. Claimed and exploited by Christian rulers and declared that the Catholic faith and the Christian religion be exalted and be everywhere increased and spread. That the health of souls, see, there's that word, the health of souls be cared for. See, we need the help. You know what I'm saying? Man, please help them soulless heathens be cared for, that the barbarous nations, see, everybody that wasn't a Christian was a barbarous nation, be overthrown and brought to the faith itself. This doctrine of discovery became the basis of all European claims in the Americas, as well as the foundation of the United States Western expansion in the U.S. Supreme Court, right, in the 1823 case, Johnson versus McLeach, Chief Justice John Marshall. So I'm just trying to let you know, we're going to get deep into that Papist Bull, but that's why I don't believe in God. Mr. Rez. And you shouldn't either, based off of that. It was Christianity that enslaved you.
All right, come on, Pastor. Let's get it in. We're going on to the third round right quick. This will be the third round. Y'all better turn this joint up, man. Come on, man.
Let's go. Let's go. Tell me when to go, Sa.
It's on you, brother. You got the floor.
All right. All right. So again, y'all, we did not hear Ankh. Remember, this is a conversation about science, right? And then not needing religion or faith or belief not being needed, right? Because y'all know Ankh act like, Amara Squad act like science for everything. You don't need faith. You don't need belief. Now, I want to kill this argument of them saying that. Ankh could never say you don't need belief again, because he just quoted 5 times, let me tell you the reason I don't believe in God. It's over for him. He just said, let me tell you, Rev, why I don't believe in God. And do you want to know why he had to say why he don't believe in God? It's because he know good and well he can't prove that God doesn't exist. Science can't prove it. He can't prove it. All he can do is what I do. Tell me to believe. Now, God is not a scientific equation. You can't figure God out in a lab, in a telescope, because he is above. He is above the things that science studies, right? He is not natural. He is supernatural. Watch this, though. Ankh never answered why he, being the scientific one, takes away the scientific questions of who and why. He did, however, confirm my assertion that he is an atheist who has a belief, and his belief says there is no God. Therefore, he would not deduce or induce the plausibility of a God in creation, nor will he allow for a supernatural explanation. He will only deal with natural because he is an atheist believer. This is grand opening, grand closing. He also did not deal with the fact, he actually ran away from it and said, hey, I ain't say nobody could believe, that now he has to stop, according to me showing y'all the research, he has to stop lying, saying that there aren't scientists who believe. Scientists don't believe. There are plenty of scientists who believe. In these researches, half of them do believe, right? Half of them that study the information are believers. Now let's go, because now he always wants to bring up people. Let's go to Galileo, right? An Italian philosopher, physicist, mathematician, and astronomer, right? These are the type of people Ankh be quoting. Well, guess what he says? Here is the link. The laws of nature are written by the hand of God in the language of mathematics. Science can't disprove God, and science doesn't need to prove him. It doesn't even seek to. But nevertheless, nature is not science. Science studies nature, but nature is a creation, right? Nature existed before the study of science. And like Galileo did, you can look up at nature, what you call natural, and you can know man, the who had nothing to do with it. You can eliminate humanity from dealing with that. But you cannot eliminate the possibility of a supernatural force. And there are many scientists who talk like this. The laws of nature are written by the hand of God in the language of mathematics. In other words, when you're doing science and you study in nature, you can begin to believe and see, right? Belief. Just like you believe there is no God, that there is a supernatural force to make these things happen. I do not feel obligated to believe that the same God who has endowed us with sense and reason and intellect has intended for us to forego their use. That's your problem, Ankh. You got all this knowledge that it makes you ignorant, because your knowledge makes you disown and not believe in the force that gave it to you. God is known by nature in his works, right? And by doctrine in his revealed word. What's going on? Albert Einstein, physicist, mathematician. These are scientists, y'all. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. So y'all go ahead and believe in the atheist science. I don't even know if you're a scientist, but the atheist student of science, Brother Ankh, who told y'all he doesn't believe, therefore he gets rid of belief. But there are other scientists, and Albert Einstein didn't even believe in a personal God. Yet this scientist says science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Because the Amaran squad will have you believe the only thing that deals with life is science, right? He says, my religion consists of a humble admiration of the immutable superior spirit who reveals himself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our own frail and feeble mind. Your mind too feeble to even conceptualize God. That's why it's called faith and belief. The word of God says without faith, you can't even know God, right? So the reason you can't see God or experience God is because you have already denied him in your belief that says there is no God. You won't search for anything you don't believe in. Now, he brought up Charles Darwin, didn't he? He brought up Charles Darwin. Well, look what Charles Darwin did. Since you're such a subscriber to him, always bringing him up, the question of whether there exists a creator and ruler of the universe has been answered in the affirmative by some of the highest intellects that have ever existed. That's what Darwin said. He said, now you may choose what God you want to believe in, but the question of whether there is a creator has been answered in the affirmative. John Ray. Right? Who is John Ray? I don't even know if you know, right? But he's a biologist. Watch this. He believed you could see the works of invisible God in the creation of the visible world. Here is the book that comes through. The wisdom of God manifested in the works of creation. Man, this is grand opening, grand closing. I can no longer tell y'all that science does not contain belief. He can tell you that he doesn't believe and he does not subscribe. But belief, religion, spirituality, and science has been a part of our makeup since the beginning of humanity. Don't ever let an atheist tell you that you got to throw belief out, religion, and spirituality out when you're dealing with science, because the truth of the matter is we have always dealt with belief. Belief is the beginning of all knowledge. Belief leads to the search of knowledge. Knowledge confirms belief. There is not... That's my time.
All right, family. I would like for y'all to hit that thumbs up button for your brother real quick. That's what I asked for, y'all. Hit that like button so we could begin to share this video. Brother Ankh, I would like for you to complete this fourth round, sir. It's on you. Time will start.
I don't know where he got that from. Belief definitely is not the foundation of science. So I don't know where he got that from. I think he misunderstood. As a matter of fact, having a belief doesn't have to necessarily have anything to do with God. So we know based off the evolutionary process that believing in things is natural. And it actually, what belief does, it actually helps you. We talk about in premortal man, early man, right? Believing really helped him because it allowed him. Look at the book called Believing Minds, right? And belief is part of the evolutionary process. So ancient man, and early on, right? They had to process things by believing in everything. A quick example. So if you was in a savannah, right, amongst the high grass, you would have to believe that when that grass moved, it was a predator because you didn't know, right? So when that grass moved, right, you either accepted as being a predator and you run, or you believe it's the wind and you don't run. It's better to look at all those things by early man. Problem with that is now early man no longer has to believe whether the high grass is moving, whether it's the wind or whether it's a predator. Now you know. Now you understand that. So really, beliefs in religion in particular is really getting phased out. Belief equals ignorance. God equals ignorance because it presupposes something that you can't prove or verify. It's really ignorance. And so that the Hebrews used to believe that the God of the mountain or God was actually a mountain. And whenever the volcano would explode, right, the burning bush, you know what I'm saying? Why else would a bush burn on the mountain? It must be a goddamn volcano, huh? So whenever the mountain would explode, they would feel like God's wrath came over them because they didn't know. Now you don't got to believe that God is stuck on a mountain or God is a mountain because we now understand that the tectonic plates moving, you know what I'm saying, creates force, you know what I'm saying, which pushes up, you know what I'm saying, lava. We understand what a volcano is now. We don't have to believe that. So early on, spookism was at an all-time high in early societies, right? It wasn't Christianity in early societies, but just making things, not understanding things, we call it superstition. When you believe in things that you don't understand, superstition's on the way. So you got medieval Europe, right? They felt that disease had something to do with God and God's anger and wrath, right? They literally thought that disease you know what I'm saying, was something that was evil. You know what I'm saying? Even the Egyptians believed that the disease was evil because they didn't know. They didn't have the germ theory. They didn't know. So human beings through time, even scientists through time, when they reach a level of knowledge, right? Sometimes some scientists will invoke God. But scientists will come behind people like Galileo and figure out what they didn't know, right? And replace the ignorance of God with the true wisdom and knowledge of it. And I forget what Dr. Mayat called that. I know we can say the God of the gaps, but it was really a specific word that Dr. Mayat, shout out to her, actually said, right? So just because Galileo had reached this height of level of knowledge, interacted God in that situation, doesn't mean that the scientists behind him, you know what I'm saying, has not figured out what he didn't have the ability to figure out, right? And now we will remove God out of that situation. So the real conversation is what? What fits man best in 2019? Science. What's going to slow down global warming? The prayer to God? Well, understanding why these emissions are happening, why the planet is going through a global change, why human beings have actually sped up the natural process of global warming and sped it up. What is it? Can we go ask God that question? Not no, but hell no. We'd be dead waiting on an answer from God. It's a belief system. And I already explained why I'm not a Christian. I explained that. But I need to get into the demarcation line real fast. What is the demarcation line? The demarcation line is a boundary or other conceptual separation between things. Geographically, demarcation line, right, might be the border that separates two countries or rivers, right? What demarcation line represented in the age of discovery was they was in a battle. It was Portuguese Spain. They were beefing with each other, right? And so the Pope actually gave one side, the Americas, right, to the Spain, and they gave the Portuguese the other side of the line, you know what I mean? And they divided the line and they split up the spoils. I'll get into it more, you know what I'm saying, on my next 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I'll get into exactly what demarcation line is, make it very specific.
All right. The fifth and final round. Y'all two have the fifth and final round. Pastor Bennett, it's on you, my brother. Time will start when you start, brother. You already know.
Is my screen up, Si?
Not yet.
Okay, let me. Okay.
Your screen is up.
All right. Let me try to pull this slide up real quick.
Your screen is
all
up.
Right. Got you. Let's go. All right, check this out. Again, Ankh is just running from the science now. Now he's talking about all kind of crazy things that I don't even subscribe to. I know I'm in the lion's den and I got pastors for my name, but let's just be real with the information. Ankh ain't bringing us no facts. Now, the fact is, you bringing scientists up like Charles Darwin. And then when I bring up Charles Darwin, who you bring him up for evolution, so you deal with him as science. Here is what he says. I'm saying the reason you don't deduce what he deduces is because you are an atheist. You said you don't tell us why you don't believe in Christianity. No, you told me why you don't believe in a God. So if we're going to listen to Ankh about religion, we have to first respect the same thing y'all say about me. That the reason I talk God, for God, the reason I talk for the Bible is because I'm a believer. Likewise, I already showed y'all, Ankh is a believer in atheism. Everybody don't believe the same thing. A believer is a believer. Some reason Ankh wants to separate his belief from my belief in that his isn't belief. He never said, I know God doesn't exist, because he know better than to say that. He says, I don't believe in a God, and that's his choice. But the fact of the matter is, here is the problem. He said you don't need belief. Belief is whatever. Well, y'all always want slides. Y'all always want sources. Y'all always want that. And I'm bringing it to y'all tonight. I hope y'all do the same with Ankh. But let me give y'all a great source. Don't play with me. Belief is part of the evolutionary process. You want to know who just said that? My dear brother Ankh. I spelled his name wrong, but I got you, Ankh. But he just said that. He just tried to tell y'all belief and science don't go together. But he just quoted this. He just got done talking. And if you listen to him, you heard him say belief is a part of the evolutionary process. He believes in evolution, and evolution, according to him, is Charles Darwin's. It's scientific. He said he belief is a part
Is your time up there?
Now let me get to this. Hey, come on. See, that's
my fault.
emotionalism. He talking during my time. Come on, Sal.
I apologize, bro.
No apology. That's it.
Go ahead, Reverend. You wasting time. Let's go.
Hey, Sal. I ain't wasting time. He cutting in on my time. Hubble and Einstein, right? Hubble's research concluded that an expanding universe implies a finite universe. Watch this. Before Edwin Hubble, a scientist, through his research, determined that the universe had a beginning, scientists all the way up into the 1900s were believing that the Earth was eternal. This is why you can't just depend on science, because science many times is wrong. I'll just tell you, well, wait till they get new information. Einstein was one of the ones who believed that the universe was eternal, right? And his theory of relativity, he tried to use that to suggest that. Until Hubble brought Einstein in to California, showed him his research. This is the picture of it. Had him look through the telescope, and look what Einstein came away saying. I now see the necessity for a beginning. Now, scientists, through scientific method, discovered that the Earth had a beginning. But wait, in the 1920s, but way before the 1920s, there were believers who believed in a created universe, that time, space, and matter were not eternal, but they had a beginning. I am trying to show you that believers who had no telescope, science confirmed what they believed. So you can't just throw out belief, because belief can be true. Now, just because a belief cannot be true doesn't mean all beliefs aren't true. The same way, just like some scientific hypotheses can be false, don't mean all scientific hypotheses can be false. This is proof that there was believers in not an eternal universe, but a created universe before science ever proved it. There is reason for belief. Next, do y'all know that Ankh subscribes to the Big Bang Theory? Do y'all know that this man right here, George, is the one who is responsible and called the father of the Big Bang Theory? Who says time, space, and matter came into existence? Do you also know he was a priest who believed in God and believed that God is the one that gives us the ability to understand science? Go get the information right here. I know my time winding up. Intelligent design. They always talking about DNA. Do you know DNA molecules contains coded information in it? And information always tracks back to intelligence. So now are you going to tell me, Ankh, that there's not evidence even through science for a creator and not just an atom? Because if Earth had a beginning, then time, space, and matter had to come into existence at the same time, which means that something had to bring it into existence, because intelligence has come out of matter. And we know matter is not intelligent enough to put in us the DNA that y'all always talking about that's coded. Human beings are hardwired for certain things. One of the things we're hardwired for is religion, is faith. Lawrence Krauss, an atheist, a physicist, says this, and I'm done. Humanity has a tendency to be religious. You would violate evidence of reality to deny this. Grand opening, grand closing.
All right, Ankh, take us out with the last and final round, fifth round. My brother, it is on you. Time will start when you begin. I can't hear you, Ankh. We can't hear you, brother. You put it on mute.
All right, basically, we understand that the word God is a dramatic word. It really has an unknown origin. Thus, you got the work of Asahotep, who's actually finishing that work up. So you run around using the word of Jesus Christ, and none of them would have used. They wouldn't have used the word God, Rev. Need to get that straight. And y'all gotta stop texting me when I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. God damn. Dr. Mayat, he actually sent the paper I was looking for. Appreciate you, Doc. The name of the paper is, when everybody get the name of this paper, it's actually by Neil deGrasse Tyson, Natural History Museum. It's called The Perimeter of Ignorance. The Perimeter of Ignorance. It says a boundary where scientists face a choice: invoke a deity or continue to quest for knowledge. See, that's what you're talking about, Rev. I really don't know what the hell you're talking about. All scientists, just because they don't know something, don't invoke a deity. That paper is very, very important for y'all to read that paper. Very important. Appreciate that, Doc. Can't read the paper right now. Got enough time, right? But that paper is important. So it don't matter what Charles Darwin thought. It don't matter what none of them, Albert Einstein, don't matter. Maybe he reached a level, right? I'm going to read this what Albert Einstein did. He reached a boundary where scientists faces a choice. Albert Einstein was at the choice: invoke a deity or continue to quest for knowledge. Over here, bro, the black community needs to continue to quest for knowledge. Now, I did not say that belief was in evolution. What I said was that the believing mind, the way the mind has evolved, right? It's part of the evolutionary process. Not that belief has something to do with evolution, bro. You kind of mixed that up, Rev. You got to admit that you mixed that up. And believing does not equate to religion. Let's get that straight. Or Christianity. It does not. So you got Spain, you got Portugal, they fighting over trade, commerce, right? The Pope, right, declares a demarcation line, cut the crap. He draws the line down the map. He gives one side to Spain, right, and the other side to Portugal. Okay, Spain had the Americas, Portugal had the lands over there in Africa. Right? You need to tune into a documentary. No, tune into the show me and Doc and I was going to do, right? Where she's bringing out the animated lesson dealing with the transcontinental kidnapping trade, and she will talk about that in detail. The point I'm making here is it was Christianity that did these things to you, Rev. Christianity. I've answered all the questions. You just too dumb to realize I answered the questions. When you go back and slow it down, then you'll see that, Rev. I answered all the questions.
Right, no name calling, brother. No name calling.
No, Rev, I said that you dumb to understand. I didn't call him dumb.
Okay,
He's
gotcha.
Dumb to understand.
All right.
Your ignorance on that subject does not allow you to understand that. Does that sound better, Sir
That
Rev?
sounds a lot better, sir.
Right. So the point I'm making here is that, right? Listen closely to what was said. Recognize what was said, right? I see you got the etymology of the word God. Unknown origin. And that's why the Umrah Star is doing their thing. That's why shout out to Star Hotep. He's actually finding that origin and that true meaning of what that is. But we know for sure the Greeks the Hebrews at no time used that word God. So you throwing that around. You're really throwing it around because they gave that to us, right, during the period of slavery. All right? So, yeah, science never claimed to be able to figure out the supernatural. Don't forget that important paper. Rev, you're making a lot of mistakes. And an atheist, if you go to the history of atheism, classical Greek and Rome, Western classical antiquity, theism was the fundamental belief that supported the legitimacy of the state. Historically, any person who did not believe in a deity supported by the state, like you do, Rev, was fair game to accusations of atheism, a capital crime. For political reasons, Socrates in Athens in 399 BC was accused of being an atheist, refusing to acknowledge the God recognized by the state. Christian Rome were also considered subversive to the state religion and persecuted as atheists. So Christians were persecuted. Thus the charge of atheism, meaning subversive to the religion, were often used similarly in charges of heresy. That's what they did to our damn Africans. They said, y'all don't believe in God. You don't believe in that. You're a heretic. We can enslave you based off of that. So atheism originally, back then when it started, was those who do not believe in the state-sponsored religion, and hell no, right? No African, no self-respecting African should support the state-sponsored religion that enslaved them, which was Christianity. No, Rev.
All
no,
right,
Rev.
time is up. And right now,
now,
because the Reverend went first, I'm going to allow you to go first and ask your question. First of all, how you doing, Dr. Ma'at? Want to make sure my sister's all right. We got Dr. Ma'at in the building. Let me know how you doing, sister. Hit me up, call me, text me, do something. Let me know, Queen. Hopefully everything is good. You're getting stronger. Peace and black power to you, sister. All right, brother Unc, you got first ups. You can ask the Reverend a question, and Rev, you got 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the question.
So the reality is, Rev, what has done more damage to the world, Rev? Religion or science? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Reverend.
What has done more damage to the world?
Religion or science?
I would say probably religion. But
you got
I'm
you
done.
got 1 minute
you
and
go.
30 seconds. Go.
What you want me to say? I said religion.
You don't want to explain it. You just want to say religion. That's cool. If you want to just go that route.
Okay, I'll explain a little bit because that doesn't prove it, because it's the same thing. There's not one religion. There's not one religion. But that explains it, because religion is all over. We are hardwired for it. You have a religion. It's called atheism. You just actually, because people want the wrong religion, the wrong religions, right? But people like you will give information now and not tell the people the truth. For example, you just brought up that atheists back in the day were people who did not subscribe to the state religious God. But the problem you failed to do, Ankh, was to announce that those people weren't atheism as we see it today, because they actually did believe in a creator. They did believe in a God. They just didn't believe in that God. The atheist, what we're talking about now, is like you, right? Who will try to tell people only deal with science, and then ask people if science is the thing that we need in 2019, when the reality is science doesn't deal with morality, right? Science can measure justice and truth. It can't even tell morality. So if science, the reason religion, because science is not made to deal with that type of things in the world. Science is the study of nature. Science does not deal.
Time is up. Peace and black power. Shout out to
Give me the
Lotus
rest of
Television. Peace and Aboriginal Power. Keep giving Unc that work. Lotus Television says, peace and Aboriginal Power, Pastor. Keep giving Unc that work. All right, Pastor, it's on you.
Whoa. Hey, Rev, hold on. Can I expound on his answer real quick for a minute?
Go ahead.
So,
okay.
No. You asked the question. No, you can't expound on it.
I know, but I should be able to rebuttal I should be able to respond to what he said, though. And then he asked me the question.
With you, Pastor?
Go ahead and let him. Go ahead and let him. We'll do it both ways, though. Go ahead and let him.
Yeah, we do it both ways. Get a minute. What you have, Rev? A minute, 30 seconds? Put that minute 30.
Unbiased Sports says, and organized truth or nothing, pseudo killers. There you go. It's on you, Unc.
We're going to start that clock. So basically, Rev, we know what religions actually did damage to the world. There is no record of African religions, Aboriginal religion in Australia, Native American religion, original African religions. There's no record of them conquering the world and destroying people based off of their religion. There's no record of that, bro. The only religions we do have is those religions of the book, the monotheists. Who are the monotheists? Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. When they came into the world, is when the destruction started to occur based off of what you believed in. It's right there in the Papa's Bulls, bro. You don't have the Muslims sent letters to people. So don't clump everybody else's belief system in the religions of the book. These are the first religions of the book. The Persians didn't have a religion of the book. The Egyptians didn't have a religion of the book. The Assyrians didn't. The Romans didn't, and the Greeks didn't. It was the monotheists. The Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews had book religions, and they used it to conquer the world, Rev. Cut that out, bro. You gotta stop that, right? And I never told black people that they could not be an integral part of African systems. And morality does not come out of religion. Morality comes out of people's culture that design what they feel like their moral code should be. There you go.
All right, Pastor, it's on you to ask Ankh a question.
Brother Ankh, I want to stay right there for a little bit and ask you something. Can science, or does science, deal with morality and justice? Can it measure morality, the rightness of it, the wrongness of it? Can it measure morality? Right? Because we know that some people have different things that they think is moral. What one person thinks is moral, another person doesn't. So does science deal with and tell us what is moral, what is right, what is justice?
It's on you.
No, people culture design moral codes. It's a morality code. There's no right or wrong. I'm going to say it again. There's no right or wrong. There's consequences, because you can be in Africa, right, and be a male and have a husband, and they'll put a tire on your head and burn your ass up. You can be in America, and it's cool to have a husband. You can be in America and have 2 wives, and they're going to lock your motherfucking ass up if you marry 2 women and put you in jail. But you can be in Africa and have 3 wives. You can afford it. Why do you think the Hebrew Israelites have more than 1 wife in America, but they don't marry them? They're only allowed to be married to 1. You become a bigamist in America. So morality is based off of your cultural expression, right? Morality is based off of what the culture deems as moral. It was moral to come and enslave your ass in the name of Christianity.
No cursing, sir. No cursing, sir.
To hog tie you and burn your ass up. It was moral to enslave you and have breeding camps of African people. It was moral to do that, to come in the women's room and rape them. It was moral to spray Martin Luther King and them down in America. All that was moral. It was based off of a morality code, bro. So morality and right and wrong, you know what I'm saying, is really something that's based off of a culture. It's subjective. It's based off of what you think it is. It has nothing to do with religion and nothing to do with science and all to do with culture. My man.
All right, Pastor, you can respond to that. You got a minute.
All right. Good stuff. And I'm glad, and I hope everybody heard, so that you now understand. Don't ever let Ankh or Amara Squad ever fool y'all into believing science is the only thing we look to explain life. The reason for me asking that question was to get you to finally admit that science cannot speak to everything. Science does what it does. But life is more than just a study of the sun, moon, and stars. That proves why we need it, because here's the thing. It's not religion and faith absolutely has to deal with morality. Because if I ain't moral, I could just come up and bust you upside your head because I don't care. If I don't care about morality, but my faith, my religion does place restraint. Now, some people's faith and religion does not place restraint, but mine does place restraint. My point is science does not tell me what to do or what not to do. But yet humanity has a brain. We have the ability to think. We have the ability to believe whether something is right or wrong. Here it is, right? You can't tell me I'm right or I'm wrong, because you just told me culture deals with morality. If my culture say bust you in the head, if I want to bust you in the head, you can't tell me I'm right. But the fact of the matter is, we can believe whether something is right or wrong and develop laws off of that. Same thing with faith and religion. It doesn't matter if it comes from culture. That proves my point that we are hardwired as a culture dealing in this world. We are hardwired for our beliefs. That's why you can't throw belief away, because science don't have all the answers. Point blank and period. So
All right,
stop telling
you
people
wanna
science deal with
respond to that
everything.
again? Or you want to move on?
Yeah, I respond real quick. I never said
go ahead.
I'm responding to him.
I know.
I'm
You're
responding
going
to
to go
him,
back.
Si.
You're going to go back, brother. Relax.
Yeah, I get the answer.
I get the-
Respond to
I
that,
ask-
and
I
then
get to
I'll
ask
let the
you a
Reverend
question,
address
Rev.
it again. Whatever you say. Go ahead.
No, Rev, I get to ask you a question, Rev.
Okay, so there you go. That's why I asked you. Go ahead. It's on you, Unc, to ask the question.
Rev,
Yes.
why are you suffering from an inferiority complex?
Explain what you mean so he'll know what you're talking about.
We know for a fact that African people had spiritual systems thousands of years before Christianity. And we know we can take bits and pieces from different spiritual systems in the northern regions of the planet and in the southern regions of the planet and piece together Christianity. Brother Garfield from the Dagger Squad does an excellent job of this. We know for a fact that we had spiritual systems that African used to govern himself for eons, until the encroachment of Arabs and the encroachment of Christians. So why is it that you accept the enslaving process that erased all that and not take advantage of the resources we have in 2019 to go back and recognize our spiritual systems that govern the world? I mean, my fault, they govern African people. Why do you feel those systems are inferior to Christianity?
That's a damn good question. I can't wait to hear this one. It's on you, Pastor.
Go ahead, Rav. Shaking in your boots.
But now, all right. Well, now we have Brother Ankh, the spiritual believer, no longer the atheist, no longer the chemist that only want to deal with chemist science. Now he want to deal with African spirituality.
Answer the
I don't want to
question,
ever hear you
Pastor.
say,
Pastor,
hey,
answer
Sa,
the
don't come in
question,
on
sir.
this. Sa, don't come in. Sa, stop
I'm
playing.
the moderator.
When he getting beat
I'm
up,
the
you do
moderator,
this.
brother.
You ain't got to moderate my answer.
I'm just saying, answer the question, brother. I'll start your time over so we don't kill your time. It's on you,
Hey,
brother.
Sa, you not gonna dictate my answer.
Go ahead, brother. It's on you.
I don't ever want to hear Brother Ankh ever again talk about Jabari and all those in Kemet that believe in African spiritual system, because you have always attested. But I see tonight I am finally making you a believer. I see tonight I am finally make you understand that science don't got the answer to all. So if you want to know why I don't subscribe to the African spiritual system, it is because it's a belief, and I ain't got to believe in that. The same way. Even in my conversation with Brother Morpheus, I hope he's watching on tonight, who admitted that even people in early ancient Africa didn't believe in the same spiritual systems. Depending on what culture you're in, you believe in different things. That's a fact, right? Secondly, everybody does not subscribe. When you hear the word Christianity, everybody does not subscribe to the white man's lies about Christianity, nor the European slave trade. So you can continue to try to fool people with that, but I've never subscribed to the European slave masters' Christianity, right? I have shown facts that Christianity was in Africa before it was ever in the United States of America. That's not even a question. But I ain't got to subscribe to an African spiritual system of belief the same way people that were in Ghana and Western Africa may have not believed in the same thing people in Northern. And that's a fact. The same way you are believing in Africans, you are believing in Kemet, but you don't believe what Jabari believes. So why don't you? Here's my answer to the question. I don't subscribe to it the same reason
Hold
you
on,
don't.
Unc, relax. I got this, brother. Let him go.
I don't subscribe to it for the same reason you don't, because you don't subscribe to spirituality of Africans.
Order, Unc. We need you order in this session here, brother. Let this man speak. I'm the only one that stops him. You can't stop him. If I'm letting him rock, he rocked. Same way with you, brother. It is on you, Pastor Bennett. You can go ahead and ask Unc a question.
Nah, I get to expound on his answer. Hold on, I get to expound on his answer.
Unc, please, no profanity, sir.
No, I said
I
I
don't want
get
them to restrict my video. They did that before.
No, I didn't cut.
Go ahead, you can get another minute and 30 seconds to elaborate on that. To rebuttal.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
let
get
the
to
rebuttals to the questions be less, SaNeter. The rebuttal should be less, so we can go
Order,
fast.
order,
a minute
Pastor.
30
for me.
seconds.
Pastor, order. Please do not tell me how to run this show, sir. Let this man go ahead and get his minute in 30 seconds. Go ahead, brother Unc.
Go ahead,
Hey, Rev, come on with that, man. Listen, bro. Listen, man. You didn't answer that question, man. You buck dance, booty dance. You did the whole 9 yards with that. So we understand that in Africa we have different belief systems. We get that, brother. That's not the problem. The problem is that culturally speaking, Christianity is not African. And whenever it came into Africa, it was a foreign entity. No matter what you say, y'all can argue, scream, and all that. So we know that. I'm asking you, why haven't you taken the time to tell and teach your babies? You know what I'm saying? That Africa had a spiritual system. And by the way, science was a part of the Egyptian spiritual system. Science was always part, because we hadn't gotten to the point where we separated spirituality from science. Now, I would say we need to separate it, but you can't say that I'm not being spiritual practice with science. That's your perspective. To me, spirituality is food, clothing, and shelter, my man, and science is a major part of that. But the point is, why do you feel so inferior to the point where you won't even teach your kids about the Voodoo system? Then do. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that you don't teach your kids about Ifa before you teach about Jesus Christ and his 12 married men? Why is it you're inferior? Suffering from an inferior complex. You never answered that. That's fine, Rev. I kind of smacked you with that question, and I get it, bro. Now you can ask me a question.
All right. Pastor, do you want
Can
to
I
respond to that?
Can I rebuttal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you
30
said you
seconds.
Relax, brother. I run this. Brother, I run this. He can rebuttal, and then he can ask you a question. Go ahead, Pastor.
30 seconds. Hey, y'all always be watchful of everyone who says I didn't answer. I answered. My answer is I don't subscribe to that spiritual belief. The same way Africans of ancient chose whether they wanted to believe or not in what the spiritual of this particular culture was, even in their own African culture, right? It's the same way I don't subscribe to that belief. And I also answered saying I don't respond to what or subscribe to what you're trying to say I subscribe to, which is the white man Christianity. I said I subscribe to the Christianity that was in Africa and lands of Africa before the European slave trade. You don't got to believe that. That's what my answer was. But you didn't respond and ran from. You don't even believe in spirituality, so you're doing a straw man question because you don't even believe in spirituality. You come at the Africans who do. You come at the Kemet people who do, and you on here trying to fool people. But one of the things the pastor will do is bring out truth, and you will not fool the people anymore. You will not argue with Kemet people like Jabari or others who believe in the spirituality of ancient Kemet. You will only talk science, because now they will call you back to remembrance of this video. You are doing a straw man's argument asking me about African spirituality when you don't even teach African spirituality. You don't even talk about the priest.
All right,
you only talk about science.
Sir. Okay, I get the chance to
All right,
ask a question. I get a chance to
Let me
ask
get my
a question
question.
too.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
First, I want to make a statement. I heard you say something like, you know, you've been studying the ancient Christianity in Africa before the white man got in there, before slavery, and this is the Christianity you study. Are you trying to tell us, Pastor, that our people was praying to Jesus Christ and calling on Paul? Remember, these are all English words, brother. Is it the same Christianity that y'all studying today, sir? That's the question I have. The Christianity that you're talking about way back then, is this the same Christianity that our people in Africa were practicing, sir?
Got him.
All right. Just like Just like I did in my debate with Dr. Reggie. Again, that's another straw man question because what it does is it takes away the fact that we are in the United States of America, Sal.
Exactly.
So we do use English. All right, so wait. So we do use English. But that doesn't mean we subscribe to the white man's Christianity. For example, you don't believe in Christianity and you believe in Kemet and you believe in African spirituality, yet you buy from American stores. You buy from American food places. You speak
Sir.
the English language. Hold on, I'm answering your question, Sal.
Go ahead.
You just asked me your question in the English language, not in your African language.
Okay.
Right? So for example, when it comes to the white slave trade Christianity, I don't subscribe to a white Jesus. I don't subscribe to a Tahu. And I believe that our African brothers who had Christianity before the European slave trade did not subscribe to a white Jesus, for example, because they would have had the Torah.
That's why I asked you the question that isn't the
answering.
same Christianity that our African brothers were studying over there. And you said you were studying that. That's why I asked you that, brother.
No, I said I'm not subscribing to the white man's Christianity. And I'm saying there are sources, there is research that talks about Africans, Ignatius being one of them. Who has letters, Ignatius and them. They talk about Jesus,
Thank
right?
you, sir.
Way before the
You
slave
did good.
trade.
I want last question, and then you can go on and ask Unc the question.
All right.
Question for you,
Hell no, we ain't doing it that
You about to
way.
ask me another question?
Relax, y'all. Relax, man.
What you talking about?
Pastor,
dude?
Hey, Si, come on, man.
Do you agree that Africa had a spiritual system before Christianity? And if so,
Yes,
why not study
yes.
the origin? Why not study
We
your
just- we
history?
just
Why
asked
not
him that
study
question.
your past?
Yes.
So yes.
Okay, here it is. Here's the answer. Let me show y'all how truth got to be truth, right? I don't try to say stuff to fit my pants. Absolutely, because Christianity was built off of Judaism, and we know that didn't come first. And yes, so I would say yes, but here was the problem. Just like in science, the thought before there was the thought now that Ankh subscribes to that the earth has a beginning. The first thought was that the earth was eternal. So just because something comes first doesn't mean that is the truth. Period. And that's in a lot of things. Just because a spiritual system came first doesn't mean that was the one that is true. The same way, just because a scientific theory comes first doesn't mean that's not the one that's the one that is true. Point blank, period.
All right, go ahead, Pastor. It's on you to ask Uncle.
Whoa, man.
Unc,
Whoa.
you
I want to
just asked
respond
the
to
question
what
to
you
the
said.
pastor. What you talking about, Unc? You asked
You
him
said
a
what?
question.
Yeah, it's my turn to ask a
It's
question.
his turn, Unc. And what we're going to do is open up the phone lines after this.
Man, you can first of all, man. I got to respond to that nonsense.
You did. We went back and
Yeah.
forth
Question
twice,
me.
Unc. What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
go ahead, man.
You
Go ahead,
forgot.
man. Go ahead. Hey, Ray, if you don't mind ask my question, we deal with that, though, right? Is that cool with you? After you
Say that
ask the
again.
question, you don't mind us talking about this made up Christianity? You talking about the black Christianity? You don't mind us telling me about that, right?
Hey, no, check this out.
Uh-huh.
What happens is when I be knocking y'all down, Shaw get in. He asked me those questions. You ain't got to respond to that. That ain't me and you going back and
That's
forth.
correct.
I answered your
I
questions.
agree
I got a
with him,
question
Unc.
for you.
I agree with him.
I got a question for you. Do you believe? What do you believe? Here's what I want you to ask. What do you believe happens in the after a person dies? When a person is declared clinically dead, what do you believe happens? Is that the end? Does their soul go on? Do they have a soul that lives on? Is that the end? What do you believe happens? Or let me say this, let me change it. Does science tell you what happened after you die?
Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah, science
Okay.
tells you exactly what happened. Your ass decay. Your brain decay, everything goes back to matter, goes back to the natural elements, and it actually helps feed the universe. So on planet Earth, death feeds the living. And we give an example on the Nile River. Right? Animals cross the Nile River all the time. Humans cross the river and they die in the river. And they go down to the bottom of the river. Right? Some get picked apart by the fish and some decay into the bottom. When the river enunciates or floods, right, that thick black death that you thought was death actually flows over the banks of the Nile and actually gives life to the green plants and the farming that actually made Kemet famous. That's where you get their name from. So on planet Earth, death feeds the living. So actually, when we die, we will feed the living. The reason we die, right? We have kids, our kids go on, but you got to die. To give birth to your kids, you got to die. That's the rule. So once again, death feeds the living on Earth. Another example would be when the salmon go upstream, right? They feed the bears as they die. The bears have little cubs, right? The fish continue up the river. They die on the riverbanks. They die and they decay on the forest, right? And they push nutrients into the forest, and the forest grows. On the forest floor, when monkeys up die and decay, they put nutrients to the plants and grow. So we're dead. It's over with, Rev. That's the problem with religion. It make you think you got more time than you do. That's why it's so important, right, to make every day count, love your brothers and sisters, and work with their ass to push forward, right, against racism, white supremacy. It's important because once your ass is dead, you're dead. The rest of that.
All right, Reverend, you want to respond?
All right, let me respond.
Go ahead, brother.
Yep. Now this is when we're gonna see who on here just being not for the information, but just they don't want to see die again like he did last time. Here's where Ankh done messed up at. Because what I want to know is why ain't nobody holding Ankh accountable to speaking what African spirituality speaks. Because African spirituality don't believe that you just die and that's it and it's over. African spirituality don't say that. So you need to answer why you don't subscribe to what your African natives actually believe. Or let's just say the majority of African spirituality don't believe that. Secondly, here is where you messed up scientifically. Because then what do we say if the soul does not carry on? If that's it, that's all, and you're just decaying, right? But there's no soul, you don't go nowhere, it's over for you. Then please tell me, what do we say to the doctors who use scientific methods of clinically declaring somebody dead by the stop of a pulse, by the lack of body movement, whatever test, by flatlining machine? What do you say to the 91-year-old woman who was declared clinically dead, and her name is Jayana? If Sal want me to put up the slide, I'll show you the link to it. And 11 hours later, when she was in the morgue, already been put into the morgue, woke up. What do you say to the Mississippi man, 78 years old, that was put in a body bag in 2014? On Wednesday, the next day on Thursday, and I got the link for it. The next day on Thursday, when they were opening up the bag, ready to embalm him, he started kicking and came up. Because if you're dead, right? So how, if you are declared clinically dead, could you ever have the miracle of somebody coming back alive 11 hours later, the next day?
All right, Ankh, it's on you, sir.
Man, look, check this out, Rev. There's plenty of times people been recognized as clinically dead, right? And they gonna be dead. So get out of here with that. And I need to read the cases to see what the scientific explanation of that, man. Get out of here, man, with that. So I don't know why you brought that up. I guess just based off your ignorance. So when you start using words like soul and spirit, that's a religious term that has nothing to do with science. There's no evidence. It's just soul travel anywhere and all that. So that's on you. And so my ancestors did not have a scientific explanation on what happens when you die, but they did. They had a religious explanation for it, and it is what it is. So I mean, look, at the end of the day, everybody in my camp, brother Saw, brother Sanjetti, you know what I'm saying, brother Wuja, well not Wuja, Sanjetti, them, they actually in the spiritual system.
I
We
made
got the
this for
Master Clan
you.
Warrior Clan. We got brother Ben.